Good morning and welcome to Ark and Dove Presbyterian Church in Odenton, Maryland. I'm Jim Cooper, your host on the lobby this week, the program about the life and ministry of the church. Today is Communion Sunday, so if you're watching this from home on Sunday morning, please get your bread and grape juice or wine ready for later in the service. You may remember in last week's e-archive, Tim talked about a new program, or a new effort we're launching at Ark and Dove called the Community Engagement Program. It's going to be ramping up this fall. And a little bit later, I'm going to chat with Steve Debus, who's one of the leaders of that group, and we can learn all about what's going on there. But first, let's talk about what else is going on at Ark and Dove. It's back to school time, and Greg Makar and his team will be heading up our Backpacks for Success program again this year. There's information in the archive and on the webpage. And if you're new to the program, we pick students' names provided by the county schools and a list of supplies, and we go shopping, buy a backpack, stuff it with the supplies that they need for the school year. And this is to help families that might struggle to put these items together on their own. If you don't want to select a particular child or commit to a full backpack, there are also an opportunity to purchase supplies for Meade Middle School. If you are able to make up a backpack and deliver it to the school, that's great. If you cannot do that, please see Greg, and we'll have a team that's going to make a couple of runs to the schools and get those things at the school for before school starts. If you want to share God's love with a young person, there are two opportunities coming up for you this summer. You could sign up for grade K through 5 Sunday school. We're using the Holy Moly curriculum again this year. The curriculum is all planned. There's not a lot of upfront work that you have to do. There's a script and a video and some projects. So if you'd like to get help with that, or if you'd like to help out with that, please get in touch with Sarah Fox, who's our Christian Ed elder. The other place we could use some help with younger ones is in the nursery. You've probably seen we've hired Kara Moody as our new nursery coordinator, and she's looking for some volunteers to help her on Sunday mornings to manage the little ones and keep them productive and engaged. So you can see Sarah about that. We're still collecting a special offering to fund the security cameras to try and discourage and prevent vandalism of our signs out on the parkway. So if you'd like to help contribute to that effort, there's information on the webpage, on social media, and in the archive. Please keep bringing the cans of food, tuna, and jars of jelly for our capped food pantry. That's the items for this month. You can leave them in the donation bins in the church. These are the wooden bins directly across from the coat room in the hallway by the restrooms. And Greg or I will get those to CAP for their food distribution that they do a couple times a week. There are hours of the distribution and drop-off times published in the archive. So if you want to take your contributions directly to the Lutheran Church there across from Ace Hardware here in Odenton, you can do that during those times. Wondering how you're doing with your challenge by the anti-racism team to read a book or watch a documentary by a Black author this summer. I know that some of us are reading Bad Faith, Tears We Cannot Stop, and Rising Out of Hatred. So some of these resources are not an easy read, or they can be difficult to watch, but it's important that we involve ourselves in those to get a different perspective about others in the community. You can see the archive for a full list of challenge suggestions. The Gleam team is meeting on Monday, August 8th at 7 p.m. here at the church, and please feel free to come up and join that. And if you're looking for a little bit lighter reading or something to take on your last minute summer vacation trip, we would encourage you to check out a book called Where the Crawdads Sing. It's by Delia Owens. It's our book club of the month. And then there'll be discussion about that via Zoom on August 25th Kim Champagne she'll be leading that discussion, and she can answer any questions and get you the link to the meeting. Now I'm happy to welcome Steve Debus to talk to us about a new initiative that's coming to the church this fall. Hi, Steve.
Good morning, Jim. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. Summer's just flying by, isn't it?
It is that.
So tell us about the new community engagement team that you're heading up.
So the community engagement team is an idea that Lori Kronzer started working with Pastor Tim and Pastor John back in the late winter, early spring. And it is our attempt to start figuring out what are the needs of our most nearest neighbors and how can Ark and Dove work with them to help solve some of those needs. We're going to be focusing on several of the communities within about a half a mile radius of the church and working out from there and figuring out what they need and what we can do to help them.
Wow, that sounds great. Why are we deciding to form this team at this point in time?
Ark and Dove is a missional church. We do a lot around around our communities and especially in the county, but in the nearest neighborhoods closest to the church, we really haven't done much over time. This kind of struck home to me a couple of weeks ago when Pastor Tim was talking about the parable of the Good Samaritan. What immediately precedes that is Jesus telling the lawyer, to love your neighbor as yourself. And the lawyer comes back with, well, who is my neighbor?
Who's my neighbor, right?
Yeah. And then in the parable, you see all these upstanding Jewish leaders that cross to the other side of the street to avoid the injured man. Right. And while I don't think Ark and Dove ever crosses away across the street to get away, we may not have been as good at actually intentionally crossing the street to our nearest neighbors. Gotcha. And that is really what the community engagement team is going to try and work on. How do we learn about, engage with, and figure out ways we can help improve the neighborhoods closest to the church?
Excellent. That sounds great. What are the first steps that you're expecting to do?
Obviously, the first step is actually going out and meeting the neighborhoods, meeting the people there, and getting a sense from them of what is needed to be done and what maybe your things that are good and bad in the neighborhoods. So we're going to start with a door knocking campaign. We, as part of the Anne Arundel Connecting Together Act, we're going to take those strategies that we've used in other ACT events and apply them for this, in this new team. So we're going to put together a door knocking campaign. We're going to use the core team, which we're looking to help work on now, is going to come up with the strategy for that and do with the timing and the planning. And then we're going to try and get more people within the church and maybe some other, other groups and neighbors near us that want to help, and go knock on doors one Saturday in these selected communities around the church and ask a series of about questions, maybe about 5 minutes, maybe most 10 minutes per door, and figure out what they can tell us. And then we'll take from that, we'll come back and see, well, what are the answers, and see if that helps us form 2, 3, or 4 actions that we could go work on with the community. And that's important. It's not us doing it for them. It's right. Us doing it with them to figure out, okay, these are problems that have been identified or things that could be improved, and how we can work on that with them to make a difference.
Great. Now you mentioned Arundel coming together. Is this a part of ACT, or is this something we're doing independent as a Ark and Dove mission?
This is independent of ACT, but ACT has plans to get to know and improve their connections within the communities around Anne Arundel County, in general. So anything we learn from our community engagement team outreach, we would feed back to ACT as well to see if that plugs into things that other communities in the county are also saying. So it may be that, like, for example, say transportation or housing, housing costs are things that our local neighbors say are big issues to them. Well, we may work on things nearby that can help with that, but we may also be able to take that back to ACT and do it at the county-wide level and say, see if there's even larger solutions that we can synergize with.
Excellent. Now, I haven't heard you say anything about evangelism, so this is not particularly a marketing exercise for Ark and Dove. Am I understanding that correctly?
You are absolutely correct, and that is intentional. Obviously, if somebody learns about Ark and Dove and wants to come into our church or watch us online and get to know us, that's wonderful. But we are not trying to make this a membership growth experience. We are trying to become good neighbors. the Good Samaritan, how do who is my neighbor?
Right.
That is our goal here. How do we introduce ourselves as neighbors to these communities and show that we can help them in their daily lives? So again, if they want to get to know about us, great. But that is not one of the main goals of this effort.
Excellent. So what do you need help with? How can others get involved?
This is going to be several steps of the effort here. So we're looking right now to form a core team, and we have about 6 people currently on it. We probably need a couple more in the core team, and that core team will help organize and lead the efforts over probably this fall and about 6 to 8 months into next spring, where we do the door knocking, take that door knocking, distill some actions, and then figure out a couple action plans. And from those action plans, start to recruit new teams that would then take those action plans. So yeah, we need a couple core team people. We also, this fall, will need a lot of people to help join us on 1 or 2 Saturdays to go do door knocking in the neighborhood to help collect the data. And then finally, in the spring, when we go to create action teams, we'll need other people that want to either join with or in addition to the core team to go take those actions and go implement them with the community.
Will there be any plans for getting people comfortable with door knocking, role playing, or how to handle certain reactions? Or are there any resources that you'll be bringing together, kind of give the knockers a comfort level before they hit the bricks?
Of course, with everything we do with ACT and using that same model, there will be training for the door knockers. Excellent. To say, okay, we're creating, one of the things the core team is doing is we're creating a script, and we're working with the ACT community organizer to refine that script and make sure that it addresses what we want to do and does it in the most engaging and least threatening way. And we'll have a training session on that. It may be ahead of the event, it may be the morning, an hour or so before the event. Timing is how much time everybody wants to be able to commit to it. Right. But we will take that. And then one other goal I forgot to mention earlier is our results not only will be used by ACT, but this winter is to come up again real quickly. The next long range planning team will kick off. So we will feed whatever we learn about what the needs and aspirations are of the local communities near us into the long range planning team, so they can see what else beyond our community engagement team, what else is the church could do as part of the long range plan.
Excellent. Thank you for spearheading this new program. It's exciting stuff and new pushing our boundaries a little bit. Really appreciate you getting involved and helping leading this effort. So look forward to news from the front. And thanks, Steve. Have a great week. Good to see you.
Thank you, Jim. It's been great having the time here this morning to describe the new community engagement team. And then if anybody wants to join the core team, please let myself or Pastor Tim, Laurie Kronzer, Chelsea McCracken, Lenny Gerdner, or Stephen Price Gibson. Let one of us know that you're interested, and we will gladly welcome you in, and hopefully we get this kicked off this fall.
Wonderful. That's great news. Have a great
week,
buddy. And now our live stream service begins.